And we should be live. Can everyone hear me? Can everyone see me? It's been a while. Please type in chat if everything sounds good, looks good, no connection issues, etc. dot dot dot. I'm actually monitoring the comments through my phone. It's the new setup. All right. It's been a while, more than a month probably. I went back to my parents' house for a while. That was fun. But of course I didn't publish anything there. But instead I just polished some keyboards and got aluminum and wax all over me for a good 3 weeks straight. That was a lot of fun. So if nothing else seems to be out of the ordinary, let's get right into it. Today we're going to be looking at something pretty special. Special in that it's a keyboard that I'll probably use personally. And um and that there won't be a review on this because it's made by a friend. So nothing I say in this review should be taken at, or nothing I say in this video should be taken as a review. This is just me showing this keyboard off. I thought it was pretty cool. And yeah. So this keyboard is the XYZTKL, probably working name or not, I don't know. Made by a friend on Discord. He hangs out on Mech Keys. He goes by XYZ. Really cool guy. This is a prototype that I will be building. So let's do a quick little tour of the keyboard. You know, from the top, it looks like a TKL, no F13. I don't really have any feelings about that. It's a two-tone, red on the bottom, black on top. Very nice and tight USB hole right here. From the side, this is what the side profile looks like. And there's like a wing or like a handle there. It's got kind of like a TGR vibe going on with this carbon fiber plate and a reflective weight in the middle. I believe this is stainless steel, I think. That's pretty cool. Please excuse the sweat, it's very hot here. The cool thing about this keyboard is that it has no plate and it is a PCB mounted directly to the top. And I'm hoping that's going to give me some of the vibration-y feel that I really like, but that remains to be seen. At the very end, I'll compare it against the Jur Mini or the J80, which is a similar but a little different top mount PCB top mount TKL. It looks expensive. I don't know if the price should be disclosed, but it was friends and family pricing. So before I build, I'll need to disassemble, and in the process, I'll sort of show you guys around what's up with this board. We got hex screws for this carbon fiber plate. And the plate is nothing special here. It's just a switch plate's worth of thickness, not much else here. You know, as you'd expect from carbon fiber, it is fairly light. And the weight is actually just this piece right here. And it's accessible from the exterior. And this too is a fairly small piece, stainless steel, reflective. It doesn't weigh a whole ton, which is, I don't know, it's fine. I think it's for the looks. And then, with those out, we can get into the case. Yeah, this is a fairly complicated board. I counted with all the screws out. It's 34 screws in total to hold everything in place. This is a prototype, so I don't think it's appropriate to discuss what the price is. And I don't even know if XYZ is trying to go commercial with it or whatever. So I will omit that information. You'll see when we're inside some of the additional screws, because there's a secret. Oh. There is also a daughter board, which is always good to see. It's not anywhere on places like ECAC. This is an entirely sort of self-contained project for now. I don't think there has been any public discourse about it. All right, so this is the secret I was talking about. Internally, this is, what do you call it? Internal breast weights. And we'll take a look at what's going on in here. This sort of reminds me of stuff like keyboards from Gion or Gion. I have no idea how to pronounce. This is also a really thin piece of metal, also similar to what you'd find in the Singa, or I guess what I found in the Singa. Yeah, the case alone is carbon fiber, aluminum, brass, and stainless steel. So I guess that is 4 materials. So even with all of these, extra miscellaneous pieces, the keyboard is not all that heavy for a TKL. So this is the bottom. You can see these sort of keys for the weight. The weight is, by the way, symmetrical. So that's nice. These are little holes for the screws to sort of not bump against. And we have this daughter board. Daughter board implementation here I'm a big fan of because you can shock the board and it'll transfer all that current through ground and your board will be fine. This point is a little annoying. I don't really see a way to put this down other than sort of taping it down, but I guess you only really do that once per assembly. It looks like on camera it's showing up as a little bit orange, but this is definitely a very red. All right, this is the top. Looks like a TKL. Smells like a TKL. And these are sort of the mounting points. We have 8 mounting points, and this is direct on the PCB, which is, I guess, a little bit uncommon. So the PCB kind of looks like a plate, and you have mounting points, and it looks like the mounting points near the spacebar are not necessarily equidistant from either one of the spacebars, but yeah, we'll have to see what this looks like. What do you mean, how are the screws? They're fine. If you're asking like screw quality, they're good screw quality, unlike the ones that shipped in the K, which was bad screw quality. Alright, so everything is out, except for the daughter board. That one's a kind of a hassle. But here are all of the screws, -2. It uses Torx, one Torx head and one hex head. I think all the countersunk screws are hex head, which is fine, I guess. But yeah, that's the tour of the keyboard itself, and I will assemble everything that doesn't need to be assembled later, just for the ease, just for me later on. I do have the Monokai. Wait, Monokai? K. It's one of my favorite looking boards, but it's been sitting in my closet unbuilt for, I don't know, maybe over a year now. Same for my HPCP. It's been sitting in my closet unbuilt for quite a bit over a year. Yeah, really complicated assembly. Looks pretty cool. The only thing I'm not sure about are these side sort of, I don't know what you call these, like arch looking things. I don't really have suggestions to improve it, but it seems a little bit wonky to me. Alright, that's it for the bottom. Now comes the boring part. We're gonna build the board. It's gonna take a while because we're going to install some stabs. Are these screws M3? I don't know. I don't know if XYZ is in chat, but I think I can recognize M2 by sight. Anything else is beyond me. I haven't heard of the parallel portal board. For stabs, I'm gonna be using whatever this is. I got it from Mode. Oh, here it is. C3 equals. It comes with a lot of unnecessary plastic. That's great. I've never used this before, so I don't know if these are good. Do you know if this is a thin PCB? I don't think so. It looks regular thick. Here, let me show. Focus, please. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is 1.5mm. I don't have a caliper on me, so. Do you know if C3 is what's included in the Portico? I found those to be pretty good. Well, pretty good stock. Okay, modding materials. Let's get into our assembly mode. I am going to live these stabs. By the way, I was working on the Portico review when I found that the price has gone from $119 to $135. And now I feel dumb for comparing the car against it because Portico is almost similarly a bad deal. That was actually not a zoom, fun fact. It was my desk moving up. You know what they say, good code comes from the feet. And you gotta stand to access all of that good code. Okay, let me decrease the brightness a little bit. And refocus. I think we're good. Okay, I think we're good now. And my extremely sophisticated stab modding surface. Get it yours today at store.jymvideos.com. So I wanted to use some other switches other than stock Gateron yellows, especially because I'm not going to need to actually review this keyboard. But I didn't have any in mind, and I couldn't make up my mind before the stream, so we are going to go with stock Gateron yellows, unfortunately, but I do fully plan to build it with something that I'll actually use. And that could be, what do you call it? Durock-like tactiles. Some people brought up this SP Star Neon Orange. I might try those. Either a light tactile or some kind of heavier spring or medium spring. What do you call it? Medium spring linears. SP Star Meteor Oranges. Those are MX Brown like. Yeah, MX Blacks. I feel like MX Blacks is so much work because you gotta buy springs, and most of them are probably gonna suck. I think I have a couple thousand Gateron yellows. Alright. Here's never before seen technique. This is how I lube my stabs, and this is probably the reason why they all kind of suck. But here we go. So I have them assembled without any lube. I don't lube the housing, the interior of the housing. I haven't seen Teja's newest technique video, but his older one applied some lube inside the housing. I don't do that because I found it doesn't really do anything. What I do is when assembled, I get a syringe. This contains the Permatex dielectric grease. I don't know which one, don't ask me. And here's what I do. To the bottom, apply a glob from each side of the wire. And then do that for each one. And I'm not putting a lot. I'm just covering the bottom because this method allows me to sort of modify it once I've built the board. And one distinct advantage to this method is that less chance of getting lube on your hands. Because lube on your hands is probably top 10 bad things that could happen to you in this hobby. I hate having lube on my hands so much that I actually dislike having it on my gloves too. Alright. Next up, put the stabs on the board. These are these little stickers. For sticker modding, I guess. Should I do them? Sometimes what I'll do is I'll cut about this piece worth of scotch tape and put it underneath. I found electrical tape is also something I do. I haven't done A/B testing on that, so I don't know if they do anything. Let's go without. I'm a super unfan of Band-Aid modding. Band-Aid modding is the evil. Okay, I'm finding it a little hard to install any of these. Okay. The C3 equals stab seems to come with a bunch of stuff, which is, I don't know, neat. I think we could use a little less plastic though. You're supposed to put those like the Band-Aid mod. Yes. Do you watch any other creators on a regular basis? The only one I'm subscribed to is Tay Keyboards. I feel like I should watch more keyboard content, but I don't know how I feel about like all of these creators who maintain a really friendly relationship with the vendors of keyboards that they were reviewing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah, the purpose of the Band-Aid mod is to dampen the bottom out, but it ends up really just making it feel mushy because you also apply lube to the Band-Aid. So it's like you're bottoming out into mush. And what I've always said, and this is actually coming from Man of Interest's opinion, is that if you wanted mush on your bottom out, then why clip your stabilizers? Because that's what you already have. Have I looked at or liked any recent boards? The only thing I almost bought recently was the Nyang 75. That's the keyboard with the big cat ears, and I've been following it for months. But there were a bunch of things that I perceived to be red flags in terms of group buy, so I bailed on that sadly. And they got rid of the E-white option, which is really the only color I wanted, so that's a shame. If they proved themselves in this round, and there was enough demand for another round, I will join the second round of the Niao 75. All right, now we got the stabs. And the thing I do to test them is use one of these. Oh, really tight PCB cuts or PCB peg holes, which is good for a plateless board. Can you hear that? This is acceptable to my standards. So backspace passes. Can you guys hear this, by the way? I wonder if the noise reduction is cutting it out. This one is also acceptable to my standards, so the enter passes. Alright, I don't think I need to keep making you listen to that. Okay, I'll do a test once it's all assembled. But I think it's mostly okay. The left shift is okay. And finally, the spacebar. Do I think 60s will make a comeback for ICs? I feel like as the hobby becomes more beginner friendly, the 65s and 75s are and have been thriving. But I think a lot of people who have gone to 65s and 75s are going to see the benefits of 60. And I think there's going to be a resurgence of 60s. Not that there's a lack of 60s right now, but they make up a smaller portion of the market than they have before. What I'm doing here is I am picking up a little bit of click here, so I'm adding lube from this side. So basically at the end of the wire. And this way you can tune it before, and you don't have to make it final before you actually assemble the board. And I'm still picking up some clicking, so I'm gonna apply some here. Sometimes with the spacebar steps, I'll put some lube underneath the wire before I put it together. But this particular keyboard, it's not a big deal because it being plateless, there isn't going to be any risk in modding the stabs afterwards. This is the Permatex dielectric grease. I don't know if they're variants, but it's just one of those that come in a tube. As always, we got the stock Gateron yellows. Yeah, in terms of layouts, what ended up happening to me is I got a 60, and then 65 started becoming more common, so I got a 65. And I mostly find 65s to be my sweet spot. But 60s are fine for me. 75s honestly does offer me more utility than 65 in terms of my programming job, but I just don't like the way they look, so I end up not using them as much. Do I not have a... I have a batch of Gateron Yellows with the Super Loop, but that's being used for a different review right now, so I can't use that stock right now. I've used, I guess I haven't used the real 40 before. The closest I've gotten is a minivan layout. And the thing I like about the minivan layout is that all of the home row is present in terms of the alphas. I think, well, I'll need to try proper 40s out to know for sure, but as of right now, that's my minimum. I've used the plank before. That's pretty all right. I feel that the plank layout, if not split, is a little cramped feeling, because especially with the left hand, the bottom row on the left hand, there's a lot of wrist motions that you wouldn't otherwise do with a normal stagger keyboard. And I feel like that makes it feel a little more cramped than a regular 40. I keep hitting the right keys when I use 65%. Oh, that's fair. Thoughts on HHKB? I prefer like the poker style of layers to HHKB. The only thing HHKB has going for it is that you can use arrow keys one-handed, but I don't really do that very often. I use home and end very often, and HHKB has page up and down right next to home and end, and that really messes me up. If I have a HHKB layout that's programmable, I usually just double down on home and end on the page up and down keys. Neomace says, getting a bit bored of my Polaris since I've worth selling to buy a Mode 65 instead. I have no idea about the Mode 65, to be honest with you. But I do really like my Polaris. I think there were some complaints about the flex PCB, the PCB with the flex cuts introducing some bad sounds, and that AIO3 recommended taping that hole. But I feel like that's an overreaction. Favorite 40 layout? The only ones I've tried are plank and minivan. I'm in the middle of looping some Durock silent switches. I'm getting tired of it. I agree. How much time do you spend per switch? I feel like I do 45 seconds or so. Really quick and dirty loop job. I'm really glad to see that this PCB has really tight holes. I was worried because these Gateron yellows have been installed and uninstalled from so many boards that their fourth and fifth pins are worn down quite a bit. I think stock Gateron might have trouble actually fitting into this PCB. Thoughts on Ink V2s as opposed to V1? I had some V1s. I have not tried V2s. A couple of my switches in the V1s were faulty. The leaves would fall out when I opened the switches, and also one of the switches had like a bent leaf that would feel like a crunchy spring. It was actually unusable. Any tactile gang members here? I know what you meant, but hearing gang members, really something else. Would I be willing to check out KTT Mallow? Never heard of it. It's like a brown switch. Pre-order price is 25 cents. That is pretty nice. I might check it out. I'm looking for a new switch. Let's see, before I start soldering, let me get caught up on chat. What's my method of lubing seen on your newer sound test to get on yellows are lubed? I open the switch up. Um, I lube. I use one lube for the entire switch. I lube the around the pole that holds the spring and the stem. For the stem, I lube all four sides, including the legs. Is it ISO compatible? It is not. Hey, a viewer from Philippines? That's really cool. Nice to see you, man. Um, First time I heard of this board. Yeah, this is not at all public. This is just like a friend-to-friend kind of thing for now. I have no idea if XYZ intends to take it public, but that is what it is. You should test the PCB before soldering, shouldn't you? I tested it. I tested it with one switch location. That's good enough for me, and it's not like there's a warranty to honor, so it's all good. I will be uploading this VOD. This desk mat is the one from GMK Olivia. It's from the first round. I don't know if they repeated for the second round. All right. Feel free to drop out. I guess this is more Q&A than real content. I always promise to do timestamps, but I never do, so take that as you will. All right, time to do some soldering. Get ready for some really bad solder job. XYZ requested that I do not disclose where he is from. I get my trusty Pinesoul with my laptop charger. Non-zero chance that I'll burn myself, the board, or the desk mat today. Yes, Pinesoul. I had a God, I forgot what it's called. It kind of looks like the Pinesoul, but it has a little station that looks like a DAC. I shocked it and it died. Like $80. Of course, I like to solder at a million degrees Celsius. I know XYZ has some feelings about that, but if you don't like it, ban me. And you know, basically all of these joints are going to be cold, so really nothing you can do about that. This is for you, XYZ, for your collection of bad solder jobs. You don't mind the flux on your fingers when you solder? Yeah, I actually intended to wear that glove, wear the pair of gloves, while soldering. But the flux doesn't really get on my hands, I find. It's just that I need to remember to wash my hands before eating or something. But I wash my hands very often, so that's not typically a problem. The D60 light should ship soon. I'm getting real sick and tired of doing videos on the enthusiast injection molded plastic boards. They're really not that fun to cover, and I feel like they're really not that fun to actually buy either. But they get the views. Some of those pads need a little more solder. You mean like all of them? I'm doing not significantly worse, but a worse job than I normally would because this is gonna be desoldered after about an hour of use, or maybe not after an hour of use, but soon because I want to replace these with the switches I actually want to use in this build, which is undetermined. I'm not using a fume extractor because that would murder the sound. But I am wearing a mask and my face is fairly far away from the fumes. I'm actually not smelling any of it right now. I should grab a dynamic mic so I can use a fume extractor. I don't have any ventilation, bro. Leave me alone. Let's see. Hard to be one of the contrast. AK-68 Aurora. I mean, like, that just looks like the Portico and NK-65 and KBD-67 Light. Like, what's the difference? You know, it's all plastic, injection molded, cheap plastic, and it's gonna feel like cheap plastic. It's gonna sound like a pre-built keyboard. What's even the point? I'm like, has the Icky67 Aurora even delivered? They keep doing collaborations with keysets, but I haven't seen a single one out in the wild. I think it's irresponsible to load up on your backlog before you've actually delivered anything. Kind of like cat. Um, let's see. Would you rather have a plastic case gasket mount board or a metal tray mount board? Honestly, metal tray mount board. For me, it's more about how the board feels in my hand. I know that's a stupid thing to say because, you know, how often are you picking that board up? But I just have a hard time, if the price was the same, I would just have a hard time feeling like that injection molded plastic was of the same quality as the aluminum keyboard. Let's see. Do you often buy extra PCBs to make different builds, or do you really just use Gato on literally everything? I typically don't buy extra PCBs. I use Gato and then after the review, if I'm gonna keep the board, I install other switches on it. Do I prefer a deeper or higher sound? The sound doesn't really matter to me as long as there isn't obnoxious um, stabilizer rattle. So I can go with either. What rank were you in StarCraft 2? Yeah. What do I think about top mount? Not much to say about it. I like polycarbonate plate and top mount on the 8X Mark II. That feels cool. But once you get into metal plate territory, I feel like they all kind of feel the same. So many solder joints. What would you guys use in a plateless top mount TKL? Maybe I should try MX Blues. This one G80 I had came with MX Blues and they felt kind of interesting. Though it does kind of sound like stabilizer rattle on all of the keys. Because they were old MX Blues. New MX Blues, you guys have it good. They actually kind of click. What do I think about my Bakke and Echo? I have the one from XYZ. also known as XYZ60. It feels pretty good. It has a similar energy as plateless, especially with the FR4 plate that I'm using. JWK because they sound good on FR4. I will go for SP stars. Can't go wrong. MX blues are very good. Blue bombs. What are blue bombs? You can try Gazoo. I never quite figured out how to pronounce that. The Phoenix switches. I got one as a sample when I bought something. It was kind of cool, but it didn't really blow me away, so probably not. Spring swapped 45 gram Halo clears. I actually do like Halos. Halo clears was pretty good, and I really liked Polias, which is a lighter, even lighter weight version of the Halo switches. And I thought they were nice. I forgot the shake. What shake? Wow, this is a piece of work. Oh my goodness. I'm just inspecting my solder joints. And I can tell right off the bat that the caps lock switch is very much bent. Blue Alps, I tried it. Not really for me, I don't think. It didn't wow me, you know what I mean? Can you burger mount any top mount board? I guess so, unless it has some extremely tight tolerances. But burger mount never really seemed to make a meaningful difference to me. So I would just go without it. Blue Alps are cool to have, but not cool to use. I think that sounds about right. Am I gonna check out the F284? I appreciate what they're doing in terms of how you can buy the board. Those monthly releases are very cool. I haven't actually tried to get any of them at this point, but I'll give it a go once it's, I don't know, easy. I assume it's still kind of difficult right now. It was a fast solder job because it was a garbage solder job. Was there a switch that really wowed you? Trying a JWK linear side by side with Gateron yellows was a really good reminder that expensive switches, up to a point, are going to make a noticeable difference. Just putting the JST on. Come on. Yeah. I don't think I've successfully used the cable channel for this one. Do those screws come with washers? Nope. I'd be scared to crack the PCB or cause a short. I don't think there are any traces in that location, so I don't think a crack or a short there would mean much. And also, PCBs are surprisingly sturdy. Oh, I see. F2 is a one-time release. I'm not really into getting hard to get boards anymore. I don't have that kind of energy. J-Wicks are the same price as Milky Yellows. I'll have to grab some of those. Maybe I can replace my test methodology. Alright, for this one we're going to be using, of course, GMK Honderbyte. J scroll lock. Handy panels. I'm strongly considering getting panels. There's something about it really appeals to me. Can't really put my finger on it. What do I think about flex cuts? So I think it really depends. It's hard to say, just like as a blanket statement, whether they're good or bad. Because there are instances where they don't really make sense, kind of like in KBD 8X Mark II. Oh, I can really smell the solder. BBN. That's not symmetrical. I think one cool thing to explore with flex cuts is whether you can do them the other way. Because don't you want consistency between each one of your fingers rather than whatever the current way is? Oh, that's a really crooked caps lock. Not me too, what? Talking about panels? Panels is really good, also about flex cuts. Should be a feast. A feast of what? The PCB flex cuts make sense because of consistency issues. I did recently get to try a prototype board with significant flex cuts on the PCB, or leaf spring cuts on the PCB, and I thought that was really cool. It felt a lot more consistent than again like the KBD 8X Mark II. Plain 60 flex with half plate build. It was disgusting. Flex was uneven and excessive. PCB was vibrating. That's exactly what I like. Some people say I like typing on a waterbed, and I agree. The thing is you want diagonal flex, not diagonal flex. What? Numlock. Tilde. Click no. Plain 60 flex. I didn't have a chance to try any of those out. You waiting on any keycap group buys? I'm waiting on one from TKC. It was Green Witch? Nature Witch? One of those. I know I should know better than to order from TKC at this point, but it was appealing. Green one, and there we go, and there we have it. DSA Nature Witch, that's it. What proto did you try, or is it a secret? I think... Oh, this one's public. It's the Bushwhacker? The one with the crazy layout. Again, does not constitute a review, etc. ... But yeah. How is the finishing on the board, especially on the anodizing? Is it smooth? Yes, it is smooth. Excuse the fingerprints and the moisture, but this is about as smooth as it gets. Some other previous XYZ boards have had trouble with this, but this time it's really good. I mean, you know, at a certain point you reach a point of diminishing returns, but this is about as good as I've seen. Just give me 1 second to form my opinion. I'll give you guys a chance to hear what it's like in a little bit. How is the finishing on the board especially? Sorry, I read that already. Oh, the other key set I'm waiting for is the GMK Yeetie from the refund I got from the Skog Light. Yes, this is the Pine Sol. I've never had the TS80 or the TS100. So I can't say, but it works fine for soldering PCBs. I only need to wait about, I don't know, 10 seconds for it to heat up. Yeah, just give me 1 second, I'll turn it off. Let me go grab some reference boards. Alright, give me 1 second to change the position of the mic as well as turn off the noise processing. Alright, and we're back. And it's a little bit of a hassle to do our standard 3 desk mat test, so this is with just 1 desk mat. And this is the IDB60, which has a very similar mount, except it's kind of a, I guess it's not that similar, it's just plateless. It's a sandwich and has O-rings underneath the PCB. Alright, and this chunkster is the JER80 or the J80. This has a very similar type of mount. This is top mount. The difference is that in addition to the perimeter, there's also mounting points like right here. Also, keep in mind this is CRP, this is PBT, so they're not comparable. But here it is anyway. Alright, give me just a second to readjust the mic. Alright, and we're back. So this keyboard feels actually a lot more flexible than I expected. The way I was testing it before was with all of the mounting points tightened. I was tapping on the PCB to see what it would be like, but obviously with the switches actually installed, it feels fairly bouncy. It has a lot of that vibration transfer, that waterbed property that I really like. And you can really tap on any part of the board and you'll feel the vibration go all the way across. So I'm a big fan of this board, just in terms of first impressions. With the switches and keycaps installed, I think this is a pretty good looking board. I think the black goes pretty well with GMK Honderbyte. The PCB port is really good, and I have confidence that this would be a board that I would use regularly. Somebody asks, how's the flex? Not really. I don't know if this is just a semantic thing, but I feel like there is a difference between flex and bounce. And I don't actually know what flex is, but I know what bounce is. And when I hear bounce, bounce is that vibration transfer property for me. Do you think the amount of screws can be reduced? For sure. I think I'll experiment with taking these two off. I think that would be pretty cool. It might be a little much. I don't know how much space is under the PCB, and I might actually hit the bottom. Do you think the amount of... Oh, did you mean like, do you think it's a bad design because it has 34 screws? I don't think that's necessary. The bottom is kind of a one piece, and eight screws for the case and 8 screws for the assembly. I think that's pretty standard, so I don't think that's a big issue. Flex is total displacement versus bounce is the rebound force from that flex. See, I look at that and I don't know what it means. Like, what does that translate into? Flex equals vertical diagonal movement, bounce equals vibrations. Yeah, I don't really know. In terms of feel, this is a little bit more bouncy, has the vibrations compared to the J80, and also the IDB60. And I assume those are due to the J80 having more mounting points, and the IDB60 having the mounting points be closer on account of the fact that it's a 60%. All right, so I guess that sort of wraps it up for me and this keyboard, the XYZTKL made by XYZ. You can meet him at MechKeys Discord. He hangs out at the KV Customs um, channel. And let's go, I don't know, 5-10 minutes for additional questions you might have on this board or in general. I've seen people describe bounce as the overall plate and PCB moving up or down. How much is this board? Again, I don't think I should say because this is not public information. And yeah, I will say, this is kind of a friends and family kind of transaction. I've sent him a bunch of stuff. He sent me a bunch of stuff. So it's a little nebulous. Why am I leading them to customs? I didn't say if it was customs with a C or a K. Thank you so much. I wreak havoc for $2 super chat. Really appreciate it. Does it have win keyless? I don't think it does. Are AliExpress keycaps any good? They're fine. What else? AliExpress keycaps, I feel like they and OEM profile keycaps in general get a lot of crap. But I think they're nicer than people give them credit. They're thick material. The legends are kind of wonky, but generally people buying them buy it for the colors, and that's okay. Does anyone have any idea what these keycaps are? This is GMK Honderbyte. I believe there was a Honderbyte R2 at some point, and it sold a whole bunch of sets. But unfortunately, it was a group buy, and it has ended. Was the leaf spring board you tried a 7V? No, it was a prototype for the Bushwhacker. Any new reviews coming? I'm right now working on the Portico review. I feel like it's going to be pretty similar to the Kara. Taobao has really good keycaps. I've seen $10 keycaps that are as good as ePVT. I agree. Taobao, if you know how to use it, is such a great place, but you kind of have to jump through hoops. So what I usually do is find some friends who are willing to jump through hoops and have them order stuff for me, and I can give them, I don't know, an informal commission or something. I regret not buying R2. GFK panels has sort of the same energy, and it's a little more cohesive, maybe? I don't know. Maybe you want to look at that. Is this board compatible with H87? I assume not, because this has a custom daughter board. If XYZ is in chat, can you confirm whether this will be public? Yeah, the origin of Honderbyte is nebulous. There is like a old G80 or G81 with this exact key set. And it's apparently based on that, but some people say GMK originally made it to showcase their color capability. Not really sure what's going on. Are you looking forward to any keyboards? I'm personally looking forward to Salvation. The mount is really interesting. Salvation I would have bought if it wasn't so expensive. As for keyboards I'm looking forward to, there's nothing recently that's really caught my attention, and I haven't really joined any group buys lately. How dare you? Do you think Honderbyte looks stupid? This is a key set for intellectuals. $340 shipped for Salvation. Boards are so expensive nowadays. I really want to buy the Neong, but what, like $530? That's ridiculous. Ever thinking of getting into custom mouses? Not really. I just bought this for Fortnite. I don't know, G305. I guess I noticed it's better than the MX Master, but I don't know. I have normie normie mouse hands. Looks like one of these children's learn to type keyboards. Yeah. Do you think it would actually be helpful for children? Because it doesn't really make sense that all of these are red along with the alphas. Like why are these keys red? I feel like if it was really for children, it should just be the alphabets that are red. The homing keys being yellow kind of makes sense, I guess. I feel like all of these symbols should maybe be blue, including the plus and minus and the tilde. And maybe all of these should be purple. And why is the enter yellow? I don't really understand. Valorant or Fortnite? Valorant, I view it as a hard game, so Fortnite. Welcome back, Dido69. We're just wrapping up. We're going maybe 4 more minutes for questions, general questions or about this board. From R1 Group by page, some years ago, the Korean guy found G81 3000 HBD. Yeah, and that board has had the word Honderbyte like stickered onto it. Thanks for liking my voice. What's my favorite keyboard that I have at the moment? My daily driver has been this Vega. It's got lubed Durock light tactiles, and it's my favorite board because it's got lubed Durock light tactiles. If all else was equal, I would probably say the XYZ60 or the IDV60, maybe the Bloop 65. I don't really know. Top 3 switches, MX Brown, Durock light tactile. Probably top 3 switches for reals is gonna be Durock light tactile. Whatever JWK linear. I guess ink blacks were pretty cool in their spring weight, but it doesn't have to be ink blacks. It just needs to be like 70-gram linears, and I think he'll be whatever. Glossus is creeping around lacking Alps. Big mistake. All right, quick recap in 10 words. XYZ6TKL, built it, Gateron yellows, plateless top mount, feels good. Have I tried Acco's switches? I don't know where to get it. Have I tried Model M or F? I tried both. I don't like how they ping so much. I think that kind of gets on my nerves. All right, two more minutes for questions. You guys like two-tone keyboards, by the way? I feel like I don't really have a strong feeling about it. You just arrived. What did you miss? I built this keyboard. It's the XYZTKL. It is notably plateless top mount. Do I like Honderbyte? Yeah, I really like Honderbyte. It just feels like, I mean, there is definitely the ironic element of it, but the amount of colors is pretty appealing to me. Plateless sounds fun, but it is 100% required to solder. What if I supported the sockets with a silicone dampener? If you supported the sockets, that would kind of defeat the purpose of plateless mounts. If there is any contact between the PCB and the bottom case through any medium, that would sort of dampen all of the vibrations. Do I prefer plateless or half plate? Plateless. Don't like two-toned. Two-tone is cool. Two-tones not good. Two-tones can be better. All right, so I guess you guys are all pretty split. How deep did you get into Vints? The extent to which I got into them is buying up old G80s from eBay and putting those keycaps on boards. I don't find most vintage switches to be reliable enough to actually use in modern boards. Would like to see you review the Frog TKL. I don't know. I don't really have interest. It doesn't really appeal to me immediately. What's your favorite full plate config if you have one? So far, I've liked polycarbonate plate, full plate with top mount, notably on the 8X Mark II. However, if it's any smaller, like a 65%, like a 5-row keyboard, then it's not that good. All right, I think we're sort of out of time. Thanks for tuning in. Lots of you actually tuned in, even though this is a pretty boring stream. But yeah, advocate for plateless keyboards. They're pretty cool. And look forward to the Portico review coming to you soon-ish, maybe? Maybe not that soon. But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a nice one.